Did we even talk about
I was,
favorite adventures? You did.
uh, I mean, I talked about one pirate Borg. Yeah.
Welcome, folks. We're here to talk about one Pirate Borg adventure. That's going to be the intro. Greetings and welcome to the Quantum Ogre Cast, the topical ttrpg podcast you are destined to encounter no matter what choices you made. Today, I have a very special guest, the one, the only, JP Couvert. How you doing, JP?
Doing great, man. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. We've been trying to line this up for a long while now. We met really briefly at Gen Con. I've been a fan of your channel for a while, which I'll probably say several times throughout this video. But we got some good topics.
Likewise.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, yeah, so we got some great topics today. We're going to talk a little bit about adventures, some of the inspiration that leads to creative design and things like that, and maybe just a weird soup of like drawing and map making and some other things that we'll
Great, yeah.
we'll see where the conversation leads us. But yeah, let's see. To start things off, I always like to go with a more casual topic. Video games, right? Those are always a good inspiration
Yep.
for like ttrpg design, maps, dungeon crawling, things like that. What would you say are two of your most influential video games for like your style of dungeon mastering
Of my style of dungeon
or
mastering.
adventure writing,
Um,
either one?
okay, yeah. I mean, the thing I always talk about is as I was getting into making, like starting to make D&D. I mean, I say D&D, but like tabletop game stuff. Um, I started revisiting old Akira Toriyama artwork. So like the creator of Dragon Ball, um, did like my favorite stuff is like the old Dragon Quest game, like the monster artwork. So it's like kind of revisiting that artistically as an inspiration as I was like kind of starting to make Flick Silverpin guides and stuff. But so that's like my go-to answer for that kind of question. But as far as like GMing and running adventures, Zelda is what's popping into my head. But then when I say that, like the whole puzzle dungeon thing, which is like kind of the staple of Zelda, like I don't know that I really am like creating or running too many like puzzle style dungeons. Is there a game that has like a bunch of weird little NPCs? Because that's like tends to be like what I'm making. Hold on. I got Dragontown right here. Like, and I list a bunch of inspirations in the back.
Oh yeah.
Um,
Yeah, actually,
so like,
just because you're mentioning Dragontown, it as I was looking through it was giving me some sort of classic video game vibes, like everything from like
yeah,
Mario layout maps to like Zelda and stuff like that, of course. But
yeah, yeah. Like visually, that's definitely, and I think tonally maybe too. I mean, Mario, like going underground and like weird mushrooms and like just kind of nonsensical things happening. I think that's a good like Super Mario World is a good reference point. Still like fun and lighthearted, but some yeah, just weird weird stuff happening. I don't know.
no, I love it. And maybe this is a hot take to say, but I love that you said nonsensical because I feel like sometimes as like game masters we try so hard to make everything make sense,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
and sometimes I just want to like free people of this idea that it all has to like be what's the Matt Colville word, the verisimilitude or whatever.
yeah, yeah.
Like sure, yeah, but sometimes you just want to have weird mushroom people in a cave and they're you know
Yeah. I mean, honestly, like with my home game, I like I shouldn't say butt heads, but like there's some friction there that happens where I'm like, nah, man, like just it's weird, dude. Like just go with
there's
it.
magic,
And yeah, yeah, like so I mean, I do try and like make I always tell my players like, oh, like treat, have fun and like go nuts and like be weird and stuff, but like treat the world like it's an actual place, and there's like things happening that like make sense, but then also like on the flip side of that, a
Don't
lot of things aren't gonna make sense because we're in fantasy land,
don't dig too far into the corners because
Yeah, yeah,
you'll
yeah,
peel back
yeah.
the thin wallpaper and
Uh-huh.
you'll realize
Yeah.
there's not a whole lot there. But it's
I mean, that's like something, that I love about video games is like there's like Mario can jump and he can like bash his head into blocks, and he can stomp on things and slide down hills and like put on weird suits that give him, but it's like, there's the constraints of that stuff. But then, real, I mean, and even like more with the newer Mario games, it's like the designers are like, how can we push that like set of like this is what makes Mario Mario, and that, but how can we like push it into like all these crazy places, and like, if what happens when he puts on the Goomba suit and eats a mushroom and turns into a giant Goomba, and it's like, how can we just go crazy with all this stuff? And like that's what I want my I say there's friction. That's like what I want my players to do is like go crazy with, like push back against the world in a way that's like surprises me as a game master, or like, surprises the rest of the table, all that stuff.
Yeah,
Um,
totally, totally. Yeah, and even just thinking about your example there, it's like thinking about like a Mario item as like a magic item in a D&D game or something.
yeah,
And like, because I remember playing Mario 3 as a kid and suddenly I have a raccoon tail and that makes me fly for some
fly.
reason.
Yep.
Why does that make you
Uh-huh.
fly? I don't know, but I love it.
Yeah,
Um,
totally.
but yeah. All right. Well, okay. That's a great.
I can keep going, man. I
Yeah.
can keep going.
Well, that was. Did you name two? That was only one, right? Or did we name
Oh,
two?
that was only one. Oh, I
We got
mean,
lost in the sauce there for a minute.
yeah, 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 yeah. So honestly, like the like explorate. I mean, now I'm just in Nintendo land, but like the exploration of the Breath of the Wild
Mm.
and Tears of the Kingdom Zelda is like, um, and I think those are kind of, like I love Skyrim, and even like Fallout, and the kind of like open world run around. And I think like when yeah, now I'm thinking of like the Fallout games, like when there's the kind of environmental storytelling.
Mm. Yeah.
Um, I think it was Fallout 4 had, I just remember like it was a totally innocuous kind of area of the wasteland. I think that's what they just called the wasteland. Like, you're in the apocalypse and it's all
The
nuclear
Commonwealth.
blasted. What? Yeah, 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 right. It's in
I
Fallout. I think
I'm
it
a
was
big
Fallout
Fallout
4.
fan, so
Yeah, 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 yeah. But it's like I remember um there was like some kind of structure, like not necessarily a building, but like something that maybe someone was using as a like maybe it was like a truck or something. And it's like there was like a bedroll in the back of the truck, but then on top of the truck there was like a lawn chair with a skeleton sitting in it, and then this there was like a golf club. Um, Next to the skeleton, and it looked like the skeleton was sitting there, and there was like a little teddy bear, like a little blasted withered teddy bear, like looking at it. I was like, oh man, this like skeleton's like up here like talking to a teddy bear. And then I was like, okay, that's cool, and just like walking out and then finding like golf balls like out in the distance, like, dude, this is like such a nothing
yeah.
thing, but that's like it's like such a cool, like some designer was like sitting there like, oh yeah, there's like this, here's this guy who's like surviving in the wasteland by like talking to his teddy bear and like hitting golf balls into the distance. And there's that doesn't lead to a quest. It doesn't. I g- I guess I can't even remember if you could like actually pick up the golf balls and like have them in your inventory.
Probably
It was just
just
like such a
Fallout.
nothing thing, but stuff like that. Like I love putting that kind of and it's hard when you're like making little zines. Like you can't there's not really a ton of space for that kind of stuff. But like just if you can fit those little details in, I love that stuff. So
Oh yeah, and that's
um
that's such a good example. Like Fallout is a great game to display like what it looks like to take those environmental details and tell a story through it. You
yeah,
know,
yeah,
yeah, because I'm a huge Fallout fan.
yeah.
And you're right. Like there's so many times you're in a little dungeon in Fallout or something, and you see
Yeah.
some kind of random assortment of items that makes you go like, "Whoa, what happened to this guy?"
Uh-huh.
you
What's going
know,
on? Yeah.
you
What kind
know,
of weird experiment or yeah, yeah.
you open a lunch pail at the Robco tower, and he's got like a bottle of vodka and a sandwich, and that's it. You know, like what was
Uh-huh.
this guy doing when the world ended? But
Uh-huh.
awesome, yeah. Those are, it is fun to think about like the sort of for lack of a better term, like appendix N that inspires the way that
Yeah.
we run adventures or design things or even game master, because I'm right there with you. You named like a ton of my favorite games, and it's that open world style that I'm always trying to emulate in my games. And like, even for me, like Wind Waker is a big
Yeah.
influence of mine. Like that was one of those first really open world style kind of games, which is a Zelda game. Doesn't have as big of the emphasis on like the puzzling and stuff like that, but I just loved like going island to island fighting,
Yeah.
goblin pirates and whatever, So
Uh-huh.
yeah,
Oh, so good.
but yeah, since we're gonna talk some more adventure design as we go here. This is our just our opener conversation, so stick around, and we're gonna have a quick word from a sponsor. Thanks for being here, JP. This video is sponsored by none other than Bob Worldbuilder and his Kickstarter, Under the Shadow of Helfast Spire. No threat looms as ominously as Helfast Spire, casting its sour shadow over the valley. Under the Shadow of Helfast Spire is a zine of new material designed for use with Shadow Dark RPG. Helfast Spire is a 64-page zine available in print and PDF, which includes new classes, new monsters, new magic items, gear, and hazards, including dangerous cavern fumes and the rare mushroom used to detect them. Hexcrawl wilderness sites, from a vengeful village to a volcanic chasm to Helfast Spire itself, the cold catacombs dungeon where even death is no escape. Thanks, Bob, for sponsoring this video. Link in the description below. Back it or beware. What games are you playing right now? Like, are you running anything? Are you playing in anything regularly?
Mhm.
That kind of thing.
Yeah. So I have my like home game, like in-person game. I'm running Star Borg. That's my Star Wars inspired hack of Morkborg that I made with my pal Kyle Latino. So I'm like running that game. We play once a month, and I'm kind of using it to like come up with new stuff and also just hang out with my friends. I just played in a game, like a little, how many sessions? Like 4 session game of night crawlers.
I don't know this one.
Um, it's like oh, what's the subtitle for it? It's like it was really fun. It's based on a black hack. It's
That one
like
I
the
did
black
know.
hack. Yeah, yeah, but a splatterpunk role-playing game is the subtitle. So, um, yeah, that was like a really fun adventure I played online with some friends, and I was Ruby, a vegan werewolf. And we had like a Johnny Knives was like a vampire punk, and then there was like this old lady warlock and her cat, and then there was like a little gnome trickster, or no, fairy, like a fairy trickster. So it was like kind of a weird combo of of people, and we just like beat up Nazis. It was great.
That's awesome. I already have
Yeah.
questions like vegan werewolf. There's
Uh-huh.
probably going to be some issues there that you might run into.
Yeah.
But also, like I love just whimsical names like Johnny Knives that
Yeah, yeah.
that will live in your head forever. And
Yeah, that's my friend Scott's like go-to. I think we played in a game of Weird Heroes of Public Access that was
yes,
really fun, and I think he named his character and that Johnny Knives as well. So,
hey, you
yeah.
know what? If it works, why change it?
Yeah, it's his go-to for sure.
That's awesome. I'd never heard of that game.
Yeah, it's on Exalted Funeral, just a zine like everything you need is in the zine and it's super fun.
Yeah, I love a good self-contained game that In fact, I not to immediately plug myself, but I'm trying to write a game that's like everything you need
Yeah.
is just in this little zine, because then it's fun to bust out, especially if you have like a group that likes to try new games or meets once a month and plays random games and stuff like that. And
Yeah.
I've got I'm a growing, quickly growing collection. But speaking of like Starborg, that's one I really need to pick up. I got to play in a game of it pretty recently with some folks in my Discord, and it was like a blast wall to wall. Like just everything you
Yeah,
would
thanks,
hope
man.
for. Yeah, it was great. So props for getting that game out there because it's such a good
Appreciate it.
use of the Borg framework because Star Wars is already so like pulpy that it just
Yeah,
works.
yeah. I think that I do get that question a lot of like why Mork Borg for Star Wars and when I kind of like pitched it to Kyle, it was like, yeah, it's like, the rebels are like fighting the Empire and the Empire's like, they're not trying to like end the world necessarily, but it's like pretty much they're like ending the world, like same as Mork Borg and it's kind of like this hopeless quest and like you're always like even when the heroes in Star Wars succeed, they escape the stormtroopers, they're still sliding into the garbage pit with the alien monsters. So it's like
Yeah.
you're always like failing anyways. I don't know, just it just like seemed to work in my brain and then yeah, it was fun like fleshing it out with Kyle and then now I'm like going crazy making even more stuff for it. So
Oh yeah, yeah. I just saw you did
um,
a post pretty recently that you're adding like some just new player options and stuff like that. It seemed like and
yeah.
new classes, ancestries, maybe some ships.
Yeah, I mean it's kind of just like a bunch of stuff. I'm doing, let's see. I got one zine here that's the subspace datacron. So I've done one is already out. Two I just released and I'm while I was working on the second issue, I was like going crazy writing, and so I have like a bunch of stuff for the third. So I'm like, right now I'm in the middle of working on the third one. So in this one, I released the princess class, and then the core world like megacorps
Mm-hmm.
enemies, and it's just like it's kind of like a little anthology zine. Um, I did the pilot class and a bunch of ships and stuff. And in this one, I didn't think I was gonna do a lot of people like wanted like a kind of commando or like ex-stormtrooper
Mm-hmm.
class, and I like was kind of against it and like didn't I don't know, I couldn't like get my head around like that being a cool thing. And but then I in my like all this writing I've been doing, I think I figured it out. So I'm doing the clone
Oh,
class.
cool. That's a cool
Yeah,
name
so
for it
they
too.
have like so I don't know if you play, there's a really awesome video game called Citizen Sleeper. It's really cool. It's like a very narrative game with like this kind of like Yahtzee mechanic on top of it. Like
Hmm.
every day you roll dice and you use those dice to kind of like get stuff done on the like space stations and planets and stuff.
Oh,
But
cool.
you play as this like synthetic, it's like a person whose brain is like put in a synthetic body, but you're like owned by a corporation and you have to use this drug to like stay alive. Like the way the corporation like keeps you enslaved is like with this drug that they own. So like if you escape, you like have to constantly inject this drug. So that's like kind of part of the like you got to like keep your body alive. I'm like, "Oh, that's a awesome way to like have a clone class in a kind of Star Wars world
Oh,
where
that's
it's
cool.
like every day your hit points go down and the only way that you can like you're like a beefy, you know, you have more strength and stuff and you have like some cool abilities that you like because a lot of the classes in Starborg are like there's the youngster and you're like intentionally like not that that great because you're supposed to like get better on as you journey or whatever. So like this clone is like a little more tough and stuff like that, but you have this like degrading hit point pool that you have to like maintain. So that's my kind of my take on that class. Sorry, I just like I don't
No,
know.
you're
I'm in Starborg world, so I'm like
yeah, yeah,
excited
yeah. No, I get it. I
about
some
all that
like
stuff. So.
every conversation I have, I start talking about the game I'm writing, so I totally get that.
Yeah, yeah.
But no, I had a blast playing it. Like I really liked how it is that Morkborg style where you might just have like an ability, right, for your class or
Yeah, yeah,
whatever, or
yeah.
like
Hmm.
your ancestry and stuff like that. Because I ended up playing like one of the I can't remember the name, but it's like the Bat Folk from Star Wars.
The micro bat, I think is what
Yeah,
they're.
the Microbat,
Uh-huh.
he
Yeah.
ended up being like a Jedi, and it was just he was
Oh,
this
cool. Yeah.
weird little guy like using Jedi mind tricks on everybody, and just
Nice.
squeaking around and
So,
um,
did you? It was a one shot. Did you do the like Dragoon test?
I think we did, but I honestly couldn't tell you what it was for.
Yeah, you might have just like succeeded and it not have been a big deal. In my home game, there I was like really surprised that nobody picked the Magi Knight as the Jedi class.
Yeah.
And the thing that like kind of brings them down is like because you get force powers and stuff, but every time you use your force power, like a Darth Vader or like an
Mm,
Inquisitor and we call them dragoons. You have to roll to see if they like notice that you're using the force. And in my
okay. Yeah.
home game, there weren't any Magi Knights, any Jedi's, but the youngster that I mentioned before, when you level up, you can like they're kind of like level. You can choose level up abilities, and one of theirs was like, oh, you can like kind of like key into the force or whatever. And so he's like all of a sudden he's like got force powers now. And the first thing he did, he used the force power and immediately alerted the dragoons. So now like the big bad guys are like coming after him. And
Classic.
that's gonna be very fun to sort of have like a Darth Vader type just show up and start, get to see how they deal with that. So
Well, yeah, and that kind of brings it full circle to what we are talking about, that sort of looming doom feel of like a Morkborg style
yeah,
game where it's like
yeah,
the
exactly.
threat of the Empire's shadow is always right there.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, but cool. We were going to talk about a lot of things today, but since I have you on here, I would be remiss not to talk about some adventures, especially since this is what Zine Quest or Zine Month coming up here,
yeah.
or I guess February is. So we'll probably be on the tail end of it by the time this airs. But
Okay, yeah.
so we'll talk a bit about some of our favorite zines, and I actually grabbed a bunch of like adventures and stuff. Actually, we'll probably talk more about adventures than just overall zines because that's such a broad category.
Yeah, yeah, there's so many.
But I grabbed some of my favorites here that I'm
Yeah.
gonna show off really quickly because I don't know if we'll get to talk about all of them. But yeah, just I was thinking about this the other day. There's such a wealth of adventures out there, like so many good adventures for so many different reasons. It's almost hard to even catalog them in your mind of all the
Yeah.
adventures, whether it's ones you've played or ran or just bought and want to run and have been sitting on your shelf. Like just for example, I've got lovely Jade Necropolis here by Joseph R.
Ooh, yeah.
Lewis.
Yeah.
And this is
Oh, I gotta
one
grab that.
yeah, this is one that he wrote a bunch of other adventures that are really look really cool that I haven't got to run or play either. Yeah,
He has
so
a great YouTube channel where he talks about making adventures too, writing adventures.
yeah, I just kind of recently discovered it because I actually I met him at Page We ended up playing a
Yeah.
game together, and he gave me that adventure, and that's when I was like, "Oh, you're the dude that I've seen on the Questing Beast channel, you know,
Yeah.
20 times by now." But so, do you have any
Uh,
that come to mind when you think of like either favorite you've played in or run?
I mean, I feel like most of what I run is my own stuff, just because I'm trying to crank out things nonstop. So and playtime is limited. But I've played in bunch of fun adventures. The one that like pops into my head as being like the kind of wildest one. I got to what convention was it? Was it Origins maybe? I think it was Origins last summer. I played a Pirate Borg adventure that, and I don't know if he's releasing it. I should have looked this up, but Luke, who the creator of Pirate Borg, ran a little one shot of his version of Curse of Strahd.
Mm.
You know, like big, the pirate ship is the castle. There's like castle parts coming off of the
Oh,
back of
that's such a cool
the
idea.
pirate ship. Yeah, and I mean we just blew it. So I mean I think that's why it was so fun. Is because we like it started with this like cool like the fortune telling part of it was like we like played in this card game um and like that's kind of how the fortune was revealed and like all the clues that we needed to pay attention to that we totally didn't that like would have given us a chance in the end, but I think we missed all of them,
Uh,
honestly. We were
Classic.
having too much fun like being weirdo pirates. Um, but yeah, so it's like and you know, we kind of like didn't do the whole thing, but it was cool. Like you're just kind of constantly going further below deck on the ship, and it gets like you know crazier and crazy, like transdimensional spaces and stuff like that. Like you like we at one point, you know, we were like on the fourth level of the ship and we're like in the middle of a graveyard kind of thing, you know. So just like really cool mix of classic Strahd with pirate
Yeah,
craziness.
that sounds awesome. Yes,
Yeah.
Luke's written some awesome
And-
adventures, and
Yeah.
everything I've played Pirate Borg has been a blast. And just because we're talking about it, you know, I've got two of them sitting here that were on my list. I'll have to show to the camera, but
Yeah. Oh man,
you know,
I can't wait to get that.
Trapped in the
Wait,
Tropics.
do you have the like starter set and all of
Yeah, the
the
box
new
set.
stuff?
Yeah,
Yeah. Oh,
Down Among the
I can't
Dead.
wait, man. Yeah, I can't wait.
Yeah, that was what I was gonna say. Is I got to play in an adventure from Down Among the Dead just with some folks online. Salty Nick
Yeah.
ran it, who's
Yeah.
in and out of my Discord sometimes. But it was a blast. It was like the almost like what you're saying with the cards and the setup and everything. There was like this
Mhm.
crazy setup with it, and I don't want to spoil anything, but it definitely came full circle through the adventure. It was a ton of fun. So I'm looking forward to running some from Trapped in the Tropics, and then I've had
Yeah.
this one sitting here a long time. The Sinking of Carthagen, and it's
Oh, is
just
that the big map?
yeah, I got to bust it
Yeah,
out.
yeah,
I know
yeah.
that
That was cool.
the people watching or listening to the podcast won't be able to see this, but
Dude, his maps are
just
crazy.
just one of the coolest maps I think I own.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just gorgeous, and I love the like jade coloring through it. It's really cool. But yeah, there's just that. I could geek out about adventures. Even you talking about like a pirate version of Ravenloft reminded me that I have, the Tomb of a Thousand Doors for Mouse Ritter.
Yeah. Oh, dude, that's such a cool book.
And
Yeah.
somewhere in there is Rattenloft, which is like their play on that, which I just thought was
Uh-huh.
awesome. Um, but there's a bunch of like spoof adventures of like classic ones in
Yeah.
there, so I really want to run that. So, and I have just so many sitting around. Like, I got this Sewer Rats, and it's an adventure
Yeah.
anthology, and every one of them looks ridiculous and fun, and it's got some art from like Tiger Wizard and
Hmm.
some other folks in here. But yeah, it's we
Oh
just
man, it looks like you had fun at Page.
Oh yeah, yeah, for sure I did.
Yeah.
Not to just ramble on about stuff I got, but like it just I think the thing I'm aiming this conversation towards is that like we live in such a great era of adventure writing. There's
Yeah.
so much stuff out there, regardless of your favorite genre, your style of play, whatever it is. Um, it's just almost overwhelming at times. There's so many great adventure writers, making stuff right now, yourself included. In fact, one of the things I have sitting here that I want to talk about is Dragontown. The way you explained it to me earlier, but the way I kind of perceived it when I was, flipping through and looking at all the different adventures, is it really is its own sort of adventure anthology that you can run as a single campaign, or you can just break it up into like one shots and stuff.
Yeah.
But there's the thing that really surprised me as I flipped through it was like each place feels so thematic and unique. Like I just really want to run, like, without spoiling anything, the Emperor of Worms. Like that one
Yeah.
in
uh,
particular really
yeah.
spoke to
Yeah.
me. It's yeah. I'll let you talk about it. You can say what you want about it, so I don't just
Yeah.
spoil
So
stuff.
there's 12 chapters in the book, but it started as individual zines. So the first two chapters are kind of one zine, and then there's like I guess 11 more. And so they and as they came out as zines, they were kind of like loosely tied together. And so when I combined them into a book, I like tied them together a little bit more so it like could be a little it could be more seamless. But really, like each of the zines was kind of an experiment. This is when I was like first starting to like get into um, adventure writing and like uh, publishing things that other people could use. And so a lot of it was like experimenting with, um, what does a point crawl look like? What is a like a little mini hex crawl? What is a randomized dungeon? Um, what is so the Emperor of Worms one is kind of like a gauntlet style. It's like you're you're adventuring through the inside of a giant worm. So it's like the whole idea is like there's one way in, one way out. And so like how do
Yeah,
you make you don't have the choices of like I want to go this way or that way. So like how do you make it interesting? Like there's a direct path, but it's still like fun and weird and there's choices or like crazy things that can happen like on that direct path. So yeah, it's like each chapter is kind of like its own little experiment
yeah,
in that way. Yeah.
yeah, and that is a challenge in and of itself. How do you make a sort of like linear path still have choice and agency and options and stuff,
Yeah. Yeah.
which is cool to explore. But yeah, as I'm like digging through it, this page right here, which again, if you're sorry if you're listening and you're not watching, but I'm holding up a map that shows the way that all these sort of chapters tie together. And I just wanted to mention this because one of my something I've really been appreciating lately, which you have a lot of in here, are like either vertical maps where it's just
Yeah.
straight up and down, or even like is it isometric? Is that the right word?
Yeah.
Where it's sort of at the angle. There's something about running an adventure that kind of like pulls you out of the normal like top down grid, kind of thing that
Yeah.
I think can really like I don't know pull you away from just doing things the way that you always do them, if that makes sense. Um,
Sure. Yeah.
yeah, so that
Yeah.
I love to
I
see
mean,
it,
isometric maps are nice. Okay, how much do you want to talk about maps? Because
dude.
like,
I got you on
don't
the
get me
show.
started.
Let's talk about some maps.
Yeah, so like I think isometric maps are cool for they're a little I mean they don't have to be. They still can kind of do the same top-down thing where you're really just focused on like the layout of rooms and how they relate to each other. Um Isometric maps can like help with elevation a little bit. It can get kind of tricky But that's like one thing that they can do. But really, I like to use them when it's like I want to show some like be a little more illustrative about it and like show what's going on in the rooms a little bit more. You don't have to like draw the walls and the all of the like things that contain a room, but if you want to draw the things in a room, it makes it a little more clear and readable than like the top-down view.
Yeah.
So like for the maps in Dragontown, like that's kind of where those like the decision of is it a top-down view or is it isometric? It's like if there needs to be like illustrations of having like yeah, like statues and like tables and chairs and stuff are pretty easy with the top-down view, but yeah, if you want to like show more of like what's going on in a room, it can help.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
and you have a style that, like, I'll just say this. I've been watching your channel for a long time, and one of the things that you're great at is teaching people how to express a dungeon or a space
Hmm.
through
Thanks.
through the really like, and this isn't a knock at your style, but like through a simplistic style that
Yeah, yeah.
that I think helps people build confidence. Like even for me, like I'm not a super good artist, but watching some of your videos helped me grow in my own confidence as like a map designer or just drawing out maps for my sessions and stuff like that. And
Yeah.
I think too, if you can like, I don't know, to me it again it goes back to this like breaking out of the mold kind of a thing. Like, yeah, everyone can kind of do the grid, like draw square maps of dungeons and whatever.
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
Um,
for sure. Yeah.
but I love that like challenge of like how do I make this almost more like 3D? Because one of the things I'm always
Hmm.
trying to implement in my own dungeon design and stuff is using verticality, for instance. And I just think
Yeah.
when you have like an
Yeah.
isometric map or a vertical map, it unlocks a different level. You
Yeah.
really bad dad pun there, but to like to the way that you think about the layout and design of your dungeons.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, anyways, that's just I think one thing that your style does really well and is showcased is
Well,
particularly in
thanks.
this book. So yeah,
Yeah, I mean, um, I I always want to like encourage people to. I think maps are a great place to start drawing. Like some things like are harder to draw than others.
yeah,
Like if you're jumping. I mean, I think characters you can learn to draw people and aliens and monsters and stuff. But that like technically that is there's a little more going on than like drawing a top-down view of a map or like a world map or something. Um, and yeah, I think maps are a great place to start. And like isometric maps, there's like a few. It's hard to say. It's like you start introducing perspective into
mm,
map drawing, which is like a tool that you use to draw stuff. Perspective is a tool you use to draw stuff, but like isometric perspective is like kind of fake perspective, so it's like a little easier to like wrap your head around. There's like a few like little rules and stuff. It's like a little step up from drawing an overhead map to go to an isometric, but it's like not once you like figure out those little the isometric perspective rules of like I don't know if I can just explain it,
yeah.
but
It is.
it's
It's
like
harder to
the
explain, but
horizontal lines aren't horizontal. They like go in two directions, and once you get your head around that, and then you keep in mind that all of the vertical lines go straight up and down. If you can like keep that in your brain, then you can like figure out how to draw all of the stuff you need for a map in the isometric perspective. And if you have the grid, it really helps.
yeah. One of the
But yeah,
things
yeah.
I've seen, I don't actually own this, but helped me kind of wrap my brain around. I need to get one of these, or one of those grid maps that have the like isometric style built into them,
Yeah,
or,
yeah.
or
Have
you
the
know,
little diamonds. Yeah,
yeah. And then when you're just
yeah.
like, just like you would have a little notebook with the regular 1 inch grid or whatever it is for whatever
Yeah.
size you're drawing, but then it has the little diamonds in between. I
Hmm.
just thought that really like unlocked something in my mind, and I went like, oh, I could probably actually get pretty decent at this if I bought one of those, but I still haven't broke down and got one. But
Yeah.
yeah, I'm sure early on you
Um,
probably had something like that, but
yeah, there's a, oh, is it called Gridley or Gridsley? Gridsley with two Z's in there. There's a website where you can like if you ever need hex grids or the regular square grids, and like trying what I thought they had isometric.
hmm.
Anyway, you can print your own grid paper.
Oh, that's
Um,
cool.
but that's the one I always recommend. But it doesn't look like they have the 30-degree little like triangle diamond grid paper is the stuff to get for that. But
Yeah, and I think stuff like that can go a long way to help you, learn whenever you're new at it. But one of the things
yeah,
I agree with what you're saying about just map making in general. Whenever I feel really stuck, idea wise, with like a campaign or something, a lot of times I'll just break out a piece of paper or a grid
yeah,
sheet, and I just start doodling, and then before I know it, I've like come up with a whole new adventure idea, and maybe a faction or whatever who lives in that base or whatever it is. But yeah, I always just recommend just doodle for a bit, and then before you
yeah,
know it, an idea is going to pop in your head.
yeah, 100%. I love that. Yeah.
But yeah, and in fact, like I was watching one of your videos recently where you do a lot of the little. I guess it was Star Borg guys. You had like an artist that inspired you, and you just started drawing
Oh
these little
yeah.
all these little
Hmm.
dudes, and yeah, it immediately made me want to play like some kind of Star Wars game just watching you draw it. But it's stuff like that. You it's the doing of the thing that gets you back into the
Yeah.
motion of it.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just need that catalyst to start going.
Hmm. Yeah. I mean, that's definitely like the way that I work is like if you're sitting there staring at a blank page, just trying to come up with an idea, like it helps to I don't know, I jump on Pinterest or um it's kind of like my main place where I'm, saving inspiration images and stuff like that. Um but just like or I mean flipping through books really. That's the big one. Or just I don't know, yeah, if you're like oh, one thing I've done is like put on Star Wars, the movie, like have it on in the background and then like just like, oh, like that's a weird alien in the background of this
Yeah,
one scene, like just, do a little drawing of that or just wherever you can get the ideas. But like anything to I mean, I think it's cool that you said like you can just start doodling or something and because I know that's like a hang up for a lot of people is um like I don't know what to draw but if you can just start yeah the ideas come faster than you can write something in a Google Doc or draw something like once you get going
yeah,
that's definitely
yeah, and
how the ideas come.
yeah, and whatever if you're listening and you're like, I'm not really an artist, maybe it's not the drawing of the map for you. Um, Sometimes just I like pull out my old comic collection and I'll just grab a random comic
Yeah,
and start reading, and I'll see something in there or I'll read something and I'll be like, oh, this is such a cool idea. How can I mash this into like a D&D campaign? Like,
yeah, 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 yeah,
and it just, yeah, like you're saying, it comes to you so quick. All of a sudden you're like, I gotta jot all this down. I've got too many ideas, when you can
yeah.
feel really stuck just staring at a blank page, kind of a thing. So you know
Yeah, I think that's a great example too, because like looking at stuff, I mean, I just use the example of like putting on Star Wars when I'm working on the Star
Star
Wars
Borg.
inspired thing. But but like if you look at something that's like not related at all, and get ideas from other things, I mean that's when you can like I don't know, maybe I'm about to like swing it back around to adventure stuff, but I think like the best adventures when you like feel surprised, so like using outside inspiration on, even if you're playing like even if you're playing, well, no, I won't keep using that example, but like even if you're playing D&D and you're like in a fantasy world and then you pull like a Star Trek thing or a Super Mario thing in, and it just a way to like kind of flip things and make it be surprising for the players. I think that's what makes like that's one of the things that makes for a good time at the table.
Yeah, yeah,
For
absolutely. Yeah,
those
I like to.
surprises. Yeah.
I get what you're saying. I like to like make an alloy of two things that don't
Yeah, yeah,
really
yeah.
mix well,
Exactly. Yeah.
or seemingly don't mix well. But then when you bring them together, it's like I think you were kind of going this way, but there's so many like
Yeah.
old school adventures that inject a bit of sci-fi or something into them, and
Yeah,
suddenly it's
totally. Yeah.
it's like gonzo weird magic and stuff, and it just
Hmm.
throws off your expectations, which can be really fun. And
Yeah.
I think a lot of great adventure writers do that. They add in inject an element that is not sort of standard to the genre, or follows some kind of expectation.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of fun every time. Like I didn't get to talk about these earlier, so I'll talk about them now. But I've got a couple of these books that
Yeah.
are just things that I really want to run. I'm gonna angle them at the camera, but I'll say them out loud too, because it's Crown of Salt and Hot Springs Island and Ave Nox. I'm kind of obsessed with right now. But just taking taking a classic trope and flipping it on its
And
head
yeah.
can
Yeah.
suddenly bring an adventure to life and really, like you're saying, like surprise your players, which is, you know, a really fun thing to do rather than just go, here's yet another, ruined tower in the woods, which is fine too.
Uh-huh.
We've all
Uh-huh.
had our share of ruined towers in the woods, but if suddenly it's a giant gelatinous mimic that's pretending to be a tower, now that's a very different adventure.
Yeah. Yeah. Love it.
Sorry, I feel like I'm just rambling now, but
No, no, no. I mean, you like summed up what I was trying to say much better.
hey,
Yeah.
that's what we call teamwork.
Yeah.
You alley oop, you throw it up, and then somebody else
There
dunks
you
the
go.
ball. Sometimes you're the dunker, sometimes you're the donkey. I don't know if that even makes sense. I'm not a sports guy.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that makes sure.
Well,
Football. I don't know.
before we veer off into a really weird direction with all of our adventure talk, so you talked about Star Borg a bit. You talked about some of the new zines that you're making. Are there any other projects that you're either involved in or excited about that are coming up?
Oh, I did I don't know if I can't, I did like a little thing for a thing I can't talk about. Because I don't know if it's been announced yet. And what I did was like so little minor, but it's going to be a cool thing that I'm
Will it have been
excited about.
announced in like 2 weeks?
I don't know. Maybe not.
So
Yeah. That's like the worst answer. I mean, like honestly, like at the end of the year, wrapped up fulfillment on Dragontown. And so that was, kind of a massive project that took so long.
yeah,
So I was like, all right, first little bit of this new year, even though we're like into it now, I was like, I'm gonna just focus on making my monthly zines, and yeah, I mean, right now all of my stuff is focused on Star Borg, so
yeah,
um, I'm not
you're staying on
as
target.
far as yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, I mean, I think I guess the other thing that I'm like focused on it's not exactly tabletop related. I mean, it is, and that's the way I'm approaching it, but I'm gonna do a series of videos of like going through my process for making zines. So I want it, And I'm a little late. Like it would have been nice to have all this stuff out before Zine month, but it's kind of
We
where
all
where
get
I
busy.
am. So yeah, yeah. So like I'm that's kind of the other big thing I'm working on is like trying to really distill down to the best advice I can give on like um how to make a zine start to finish. So it'll start with writing and um, illustration, layout, printing, and then might do like a distro kind of thing too, maybe. So yeah, that's kind of like a I've never done a like a video series before.
Hmm.
That's not true. It's been a long time since I've done like a series of videos, and it's not really how YouTube works. That's not important. But like I want to make something that's like really helpful for people. Um, and it's bigger than one video, so that's how it's gonna go. Um,
Well, that sounds
that
awesome.
totally distracted from where we were going, but
No,
that's
no.
what's on my brain.
That
Um,
sounds awesome. And as someone who is trying to make their own zine, like that's super relevant to me, and I'm excited to
yeah,
see how that
yeah,
series
yeah.
goes. Make it
Um,
really fast so I can benefit from it.
yeah, I mean the yeah, so I want to do like a little revision, but I just like finished writing the writing script for the video. So yeah, they'll start coming out soon. I mean, I guess by the time this is out, there will be at least one, maybe two um, of those out. So
Sweet. I look forward to it.
yeah, yeah.
Well, all right, JP. I won't take up too much more of your time. Thank you for making the time to come on the show. I've been, like I said, big fan of your channel. I think what you do is awesome. I love to see channels that encourage people to try new things, and your videos about drawing encourage me. So, yeah,
Love to hear it. That's awesome. Thanks, man.
yeah. So glad to have you here. For the folks listening at home, thank you for listening. Thank you for supporting. I always forget to say this. Leave a review on your podcatcher of choice. So we'll see you next time down in the dungeon, no matter what choices you make. If you want to stay plugged in to what's going on behind the scenes or support me more directly, please check out either the mailing list or the Patreon. I appreciate all the support that you guys give. Thank you so much. And as always, learn, adapt, and grow. We'll see you next time.